The views and opinions expressed on the cap are those of the hosts. They do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of OldMilk Media. Any opinions stated aren't intended to offend anyone. All right, welcome back to the Cap Podcast. This is episode 413. I am your host, Nate Sperlin. That is Taylor McLeod. Taylor, how are you doing today?
Can't complain. I'm more tired than usual. The perils of being you and I, like, actually getting older. Like, when we started doing this, I mean, it was only like just over a year and a half ago. But when you and I first met each other, spent time, like, it was like, oh yeah, we're getting older, right? But we're like in school still. And then even like you go on, you're like, yeah, I'm getting older. You're like 21, 22 or 23 out of college. And then it's like, then you hit this age that you and I are both at, and it's like, all right.
I'm
All right.
I'm staring at it dead in the face right now, and
Oh man,
honestly,
I'm
yeah.
exhausted.
Honestly, I'm just like, it is what it is. I'm just gonna, I guess, try to figure out why people like Rob 49 and try to feel young that way, I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's one of those things where, I mean, fortunately, it does push me towards the stuff that I actually like more, because you start getting in the flow of just like regular life, regular adult life, and you kind of like have this decision time where it's, all right, am I just going to give up all the stuff I like and just, let go of everything and be like, all right, whatever, I'm going to work for 50 years and then call it good?
Yeah.
Or am I going to work really hard right now and also dive into the things I really like in hopes that something else shows up? But that's where we're at. So really can't complain. Rafael Devers just hit a home run, so pretty good.
for your Red Sox that will not make the playoffs. The same way nobody's team. The Cubs they're playing fucking games right now. They lost to the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Cy Young candidate Justin Steele blew up last night. So
yeah,
it's not looking great. I think it's because our closer got hurt. Adbird Alzolay got hurt. So, like we were saying, I think it was on Bobby's podcast. We were talking about how the importance of a closer and how it gives confidence to the team. And then when he's gone, then it's just like, okay, well, how are we actually going to win this game? So, yeah. But anyway, football's back. Basketball is about to be back. WNBA, went to see the Liberty last night. They put a whoop ass on the Washington Mystics. Breonna Stewart barely even played well. So
best
they
team
still
in New
whooped their
York.
ass. Yeah. I mean, yeah. The
I
only
like
team
it.
with promise.
Yeah, I like that they were talking like that, being like, we're the best team in New York. Sabrina's shoes are really good too.
Yeah.
I haven't played basketball in like 3 years, so I haven't bought any basketball shoes really since we were in college, but those are nice.
You'd wear them and hit 6 threes and
Oh
break
yeah.
WNBA records, Taylor?
I wouldn't break any records. I'd get shut down. I hit 6 threes playing pickup.
Okay. Not on me, but maybe on someone else. But I have confidence that if you're on my team and I'm feeding you the ball, that it's going
Bro,
in.
it's been a long time since you and I. It's been like over 3 years since you and I play pickup. I mean, obviously for obvious reasons that people can't tell, but me and Nate we're not playing down low. Catch my drift. We would just get matched up and we just end up running the whole time.
Yeah,
Because
we do.
like me and you would just like, it'd be like, all right.
I spend
like,
the whole time trying to lose you.
Every time I play pickup, it's just me and you running around. And it's like, all right, this is great. Yep. We're just running.
Yeah, hopefully we can do that again soon. Welcome to the Cat Podcast. This is episode 413. Once again, I'm your host, Nate Sperlin. That is Taylor McLeod. Thank you for watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and more. Do us a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at OldMilk Media. And check out all the Old Milk content on oldmilk.co. That being said, it's been like 3 weeks, nearly a month since our last episode. So I've been very bored of music. I'm sure Taylor has too, and we have something amazing, or well, depending on who's talking about it, something amazing to talk about this episode. But that being said, before we even get into that, we have to do our power rankings first. Taylor, what have you been listening to over these past 3 weeks?
Trying to like kind of hold on to the end of summer. I've been listening to Kids by Mac Miller a lot. Oxymoron by Schoolboy Q has been in rotation for like a month and a half now, and it's been great. I knew how good that album was, but you forget over time. And like that was like a pivotal album that came out in 2014. So that was, I mean, so Kids, Oxymoron, Schoolboy Q, and then the one that snuck up on me is The Wizard by Future.
Oh,
I've been listening to intro
a
every
wizard.
day, never stop.
No,
Like,
never stop. What do you even rank that amongst Future intros? That's top 3.
yeah, I mean, I think the easy like number one is hard to thought it was a drought. It's hard
Yeah,
to
that's one.
it's
For
hard
sure,
to
that's one.
move. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But Never Stop's incredible. I actually tweeted it earlier this week. Lately, I've been thinking of the dumbest thing I can tweet right before I go to bed, and I tweet it, and I wake up and delete it. This one though, I thought about it at night, woke up and still tweeted. You know that meme with like the wolf sitting against the tree? It's like the wolf. He's just by himself.
Mhm.
I tweeted that and I said nobody to notice till a jet was in the sky, which is one of the last lines on that song. And then I did another wolf howling at the moon, and I did the ad lib to Keep Going by Future. And I was like, yeah. So I've been listening. I've actually Lily listened to it on her way home from work one day, and then we left to go get groceries, I think. And she was like, oh, can we play this again? I was like, yeah. And then I've been listening to it every day since.
Perfect. Number 3 for me, I have Jupiter's Diary, 7-Day Theory by Rod Wave. It was really between that and Beautiful Mind because it was Rod Wave week and I was gonna listen to Rod Wave all week. Number 2, surprisingly, I have Business is Business by Young Thug. And number 1, surprisingly, also I have Pink Tape by Lil Uzi Vert. I think I finally washed the stench of it not being a complete Lil Uzi album, and I just went back to the songs that I like. And I'm remembering like Patience, but with Don Toliver, really, really good track. There's so many others over there too. So moving on, we have Versus comparing 2 of Rod Wave's projects from last year, Beautiful Mind versus Jupiter's Diary, 7-Day Theory. Taylor, which one do you prefer?
I think I prefer Beautiful Mind because, and this isn't, we'll get into this later on, but like I've never really listened to Rod Wave that much until I started doing the show with you, and knowing he's one of your favorite artists definitely made me be like, all right, let me really like give this a listen. And that was one of the first episodes I think we did last year. And so just like based on kind of how all these go, it's like definitely a sentimental nostalgia thing for me with the verses. But I think the first one is, I don't know. I think it's just the 7-Day Theory was almost like it's like, all right, here's like the rest of these, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like the first batch. And it's, I don't know, like they run together a little bit for me. And I think that's because they're probably made like in the same time frame, in the same space. But yeah.
Yeah. I didn't really have a choice coming, or like I didn't really pick any one of those. I was gonna listen to whichever one you chose, and then I was gonna choose the opposite. So I'm gonna choose Jupiter's Diary, 7-Day Theory. The reason why is because, like you said, it's basically a victory lap for Beautiful Mind. I feel like listening to Jupiter's Diary, 7-Day Theory kind of makes me want to go back to Beautiful Mind. And also sometimes I finish Beautiful Mind and I just go straight into Jupiter's Diary, 7-Day Theory. They really work in tandem that way, like a pick and roll. So yeah, I'm gonna, I mean, you can't go wrong with any of these albums here, but just for the purposes of the segment, I'm gonna have to say Jupiter's Diary, 7-Day Theory. All right, on the other side of this commercial break, we will be talking about Nostalgia by Rod Wave. Stay tuned. Yo, this Young Lil album is the best of all time. I can't wait to talk to Taylor about it, man. This is gonna be the greatest thing ever. Yo, what's good, Taylor? How you doing?
I hate this album.
Do you have to clean your ears first?
My girlfriend said everything I play in the car scares her. She said I lost all my taste.
Clearly.
And I need your help.
Well, what am I supposed to do about it? You want me to order you Q-tips?
No, I need hoodies. I need a beanie. I need t-shirts. I need you to help.
All right, I'll see what I can do. I can send you this beanie, but everything else we're gonna have to see. Introducing the 2023 OldMilk Collection. This collection, comprised of hoodies, t-shirts, beanies, and stickers designed by Nate Sperlin, is guaranteed to show everyone your superior style and taste. Man, I hope Taylor doesn't scare the viewers with that bummy outfit. Oh, no bummy outfit today. Look at that.
No, I'm much better. The album sounded better. Everything is better. All thanks to OldMilk.
Rush over to oldmilk.co to shop the 2023 OldMilk Collection today. All right, welcome back from that stupendous commercial break. I feel relaxed. I hope Taylor feels relaxed too. That being said, On this episode of the Cat Podcast, episode 413, we will be talking about Nostalgia by Rod Wave, 18 tracks, 56 minutes long, featuring Wet, 21 Savage, and Sadie Jean. Comment your thoughts on Nostalgia in the comments below. That being said, Taylor, what did you think about Nostalgia?
So I texted you pretty early this morning and I said, I think this will probably be the biggest disagreement we've had about an album, to date. And we've done, 40 episodes together, something like that now?
Something like that.
And normally, and I'm not going to do anything different. Normally, I find like the moments I really like in albums and I latch onto those because like when it comes to music and especially music that's, I wouldn't call this rap, but it's like within the hip hop atmosphere, right? It's such like a lyric driven thing and it's so different than other music where it's like, sometimes it feels like hard for me to even be like, oh, I really don't like this, or unless you can tell someone didn't try. And that's the only time I ever really like, I know the one that stands out for me at least is like the Jack Harlow album where it's like, all right, I don't know if you really like gave it your all here. And that's like probably the only thing I ever call out. This album didn't do anything for me on the first listen, and I gave it a few more listens, and it really comes and goes for me. And I think I was probably poisoned a little bit by Twitter coming into it because like they were like, this guy Rod Wave can like suck the happiness out of anything. Like he's the most, like he's just so sad and everything is sad. And so I kind of had that in mind going into it. And I didn't even find this album particularly sad like that. Like his other stuff, right, is like very much like, it's that super like super, super sad all the way through. And I didn't feel that from this project. I feel this project to me feels more monotonous than anything. And I think that a lot of it is the production choice. I think a lot of the beats on here, and it's already 21 songs, but I think a lot of the beats, a lot of the instrumentals sound so similar from the very beginning, and they start off similarly, and it's similar keys, or it's the similar, like pretty kind of like stripped down acoustic strings with, you have like the crazy hi-hats in the back. So I think that automatically put me in a spot of like, all right, this is not the same song over and over again, because I think that's a really lazy way to look at music and observe music and talk about music. But I do think that there's like a level of monotony on this album that, for me, not being the biggest Rod Wave fan in the world, I think he's super talented. I have a lot of respect for what he does as a musician. But where someone like you, like he's one of your favorites, so you can go find those unique points in songs that I probably won't notice or recognize or take the time almost to recognize, because like I don't have that same connection. So that's kind of where I feel it's like this album, there's moments on it that stand out, but they're few and far between for me. So I think there's a lot of monotony on here, and it's just like I don't know if this project was necessary, like for me, that's how I feel.
Yeah. I kind of like it. I don't know. Like I can agree with you that it's definitely something different. It's something that I'm not accustomed to getting from Rod Wave. But I also think because it's something that I'm not accustomed to getting, it's the next step in his growth. I first of all, the album title, Nostalgia. There are a lot of songs on this album that talks about his situation, like his living situation before he got famous, and then comparing it to now. So that within itself, just the fact that you name it Nostalgia, and most of the subject matter, I probably should say, is nostalgic. That's a check for me. Like you have a theme, you followed it. And Taylor, you and I both know we have listened to so many albums where there's supposed to be a theme, and then there's a theme for like 2 songs, and then the rest of it is just like, okay, you just forgot what the title of this album is. You forgot what the goal of this album was supposed to be. Are you even focused? So because of that, I feel like I can say that this is probably Rod Wave's most focused album. I was really impressed with first of all, Rod Wave is one of the best storytellers we have in hip hop. I feel like I can put him in that same category as King Von. Like there's just so many other storytellers, but the first one, like just like the vividness of it and just the way that he paints the picture, and you could see everything that's going on as you're listening to it, really shines through. I also, yeah, I really that's really the main focus here. I can see why some people say that the songs sound the same. I do think that towards the end he kind of gets more experimental. The track 16 and track 17, those are beats that I'm not accustomed to hearing Rod Wave rap on or sing on. So I really appreciated that. Backlit, I believe one of the tracks, I think that's track 17. I would like to hear a full EP of Rod Wave just like putting vocals on those types of beats, because I think that would be interesting, and I also think that would work. And I think it would also show it would also give him respect as a rapper, because I think a lot of people just don't see him that way. And I kind of compare him to Juice World in the way where he's a rapper, but he's just so good at singing that he doesn't have to rap, if that makes sense. So that's really how I see it, and that's why I still kind of consider him a rapper. Let me well, I'll give you a chance to respond before I get into the song by song, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a thing, and I we were talking about this right before we got on, and I said it last year that Rod Wave is such a talented singer that sometimes it feels like his voice could do more than what he's doing, right? And I'd be very interested to see him put together, whether it's a song, whether it's EP, whether it's anything. You know, I'd like to just hear like a finished, polished product of Rod Wave with a small group of musicians who's all making music to suit like the feeling that he is putting across through his voice, because he's such a powerful singer and he's such like a soulful singer that there's times where I'm like, I don't want the super hip hop instrumental behind that, because I just want to hear him, right? Like I don't want like to be following the kicks and the high, like the fluttering hi-hats and stuff. It's like I want to almost hear him like just sit down and sing, right?
Mhm.
And I know we've gotten videos like that, like you know the one-off video of the performance or whatever, but I'd be so interested to see him, especially being from like down south. I think there's such like a rich culture of so much different, such a variety of music that like I think that he's such a talented and polished singer that he could do something that allows that to cut through everything. And it already does cut through so much, right? Like it's like I think he's known as, you know, the singer. Like that's his, you know what I mean? That's his role in a lot of this, is he is the one who sings like I don't know. It's powerful and it's soulful. And there's times where I'm like, I want to hear it in a different environment, just to be like, all right, dude, you're unbelievably talented. He's still super young, right? He's like what, 24?
Yeah, early 20s.
Right. So sometimes it feels like, just because of like he's got like the soul in his voice kind of sounds like he's like in his older than you and I. It sounds like there's like a wisdom to it. So like I think that's part of what builds the monotony for me, is like I'm ready for him to try something. And like you said, there are points in this where it's like, all right, you're trying something different, but like I think I'm waiting for a drastic change, right? And it doesn't have to be, I wouldn't ever like want someone to completely abandon like the style that made them who they are or whatever, but I want to hear Rod Wave on like slower, like really allow that his voice to take over and be the thing you remember, and not have it be watered down, I guess, by, it's almost like some of these instrumentals like aren't worthy of like someone singing like he does, right? Like, and that's nothing that, you know, whatever. I don't, that's nothing against the producers who made him, but it's like, man, like, I don't know. I just feel like there's such an opportunity for him to showcase his ability as a musician that isn't happening here yet. But I have to remind myself that he is like early 20s, and that'll come. It will. Like we're gonna, at some point we will get the time when Rod Wave strips everything back and is like, let me just like, you know, and I'm not talking about a country album. I'm not talking about like some like, you know, just like one guitar in Rod Wave. Like that's not what I'm talking about. I just think there's an opportunity for him, for his growth, for him to like at least once really pivot and show us like that it's like, yeah, I can do this wherever I want. Like I'm that talented that it doesn't have to just be this like pretty high BPM hip hop instrumental that he's turning into a painting. It's like, I want to see the painting from the beginning, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you're saying you don't want his version of beautiful thugger girls. You don't want beautiful wavy girls. Is what you're saying.
Well, I don't know. Beautiful Thugger Girls didn't turn out to be the country album that that everyone was like, oh my God, Young Thug made a country album. It's like, all right, sure. I mean, I wouldn't mind something like that, but I'm talking even more like more real instruments, like more like just like, yo, Rod Wave, you're a great singer. Like, let's get some other great musicians around you and like put something together that makes you like stop and listen to it.
Definitely not the same genre, but just a random thought. Rod Wave with Anderson .Paak in his band behind it would be interesting. Getting into the song by song, Nostalgia. Well, I think that Nostalgia, that's the first song. Nostalgia is the first song. I don't know why I was confusing it. Anyway, the sample of Where Did the Day Go by Wet. I like how that kind of serves as like, if we're in school, that's like the prompt, and Rod Wave on the verse is answering the prompt, basically saying like, this is what's going on, and like basically catching fans up. I appreciated that. On Final Journey, Rod Wave compares his situation now to his situations in the past. On Call Your Friends, he's talking about how his life changed since the fame, in terms of like, he's basically pleading for his friends to like, yo, ask how I'm doing instead of asking me for money. That's basically what's going on here. HG4, we talked about it before the podcast started, but that really, again, it's another one of those nostalgic songs where he talks about where his mindset was versus how it is now, and also what changed his perspective. I think the lines that really show where his perspective changed is when he says, and that hurt my heart, was in the trenches forever. My partner killed his partner, changed my whole perspective. We all got 24 hours and one life to maintain. So right there, like you're seeing, not only are you seeing the artistic growth in terms of Rod Wave being able to tell a more full picture, you're also seeing the growth that Rod Wave underwent from that point to where he is now. Also, I think that the basic vibe that I get from this album is Rod Wave is becoming more and more comfortable with the situation that he's in. Before, like, he seemed like, and he probably still is this way, like he just didn't want any cameras around or anything like that. Singing in front of people was a problem to him. Like he had anxiety and stuff like that. And now he seems to be more adjusted to that. And through that, he seems to be able to make music that better reflects where he is now, and also shows really just where he is now, just shows the growth of as a performer, the growth of him as an artist, the growth of him as a songwriter, also the growth of him as a vocalist. Like everywhere is just growth to me. When we're looking at Crazy, flipping Paramore's Ain't It Fun, living in the real world, and then he's saying like, I went to chase my dreams, they thought I was crazy. That's another thing there. I think along with the nostalgia, there also is a sense of inspiration that comes from a lot of these tracks. I feel like when, like you said, when we're going into Rod Wave, we're thinking, oh my God, what is he going to be sad about this time? Like, you're still crying. Why are you still crying? But here, I really think that there's a big shift from, there are songs where he's telling sad stories. For example, I believe Stop the Feeling, or something along those lines. That's a song where he's telling a sad story, not about something that has happened to him, but about a story about a young woman who's in the club. She's like going through a tough time, and she's in the club trying to get over the tough time. And now, like, the hook is literally, now you're in the club crying to a sad song and stuff like that. So like, for him to even be able to paint that picture of a story that has nothing to do with him is also really impressive. That also shows the growth in songwriting. When you go on Love for a Thug, masterclass, the chorus on Love for a Thug is a masterclass of like how to be repetitive, but also not repetitive. The hook is literally, is there anybody out there that got love for a thug? Is it love for a thug? Is there anybody out there that got love for a thug? It's no love for a thug. Is there anybody out there that got love for a thug? Tell me, is there love for a thug? Is there anyone out there who got love for a thug? It's no love for a thug. So having that repetition, but then at the same time, still having that variation between each, in between each repetitive line right there, is also an example of the growth that Rod Wave has shown us on Nostalgia. And before I cut it right here, Checkmate, right there, like Checkmate is very interesting to me because Checkmate it's a threat. It's literally a threat. He's talking about how he's singing it so beautifully and so soulfully that if you're not really paying attention to the lyrics, you could easily, it's kind of like a Juice WRLD song where like if you're listening to the beat and you're listening to the vibe of it, you're like, okay, this is a very cheerful song until you get to the lyrics and you're like, oh, Juice WRLD is like he's depressed, like he's feeling really, really sad right now. And it's one of those things where Checkmate is the same way, where the lyrics talk about how two people have wronged him, and then he's talking about how he wants to get revenge. And the thing that I think really illuminates that as well is that just the fact that Rod Wave never leaves the register that he establishes from the beginning. So there's no point where Rod Wave is more aggressive and you're like, oh, he's angry. It's just like he's angry, but he's still able to consistently have the same tone throughout the song, which I also found impressive. Additionally, on keeping it G or keep it G, he compares hip hop to drug dealing. He talked about how he's become a target since the fame. He also the interlude in between the verses where you have people talking about how Rod Wave's music has helped them, and then on the second verse he talks about a story that he heard from like an old friend and stuff like that. And that emphasizes the danger of Rod Wave's situation. On track 16 and track 17, like I said, those are the tracks where it's more of a mainstream sound, if you will. Not really that traditional Rod Wave sound that we expect, but it's definitely something that we'd expect from Future, Young Thug, Lil Uzi, et cetera, Gunna. And to hear him be able to execute that as well shows once again that it's not the fact that he can't make that music, it's a choice for him to make the music that he does, and he's just so good at it. The same way, again, I keep comparing him to Juice WRLD, and I hope I'm not trying to say that I hope people are not thinking that I'm saying that Rod Wave is the next Juice WRLD. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the way that their talent is set up to the point where they can just ignore the fact that they're good rappers and just immediately go to doing things that are unorthodox, and as far as hip hop is the similarity. So yeah, I was thoroughly impressed. And also on 2018, I kind of thought you would like this line, Taylor. When Rod Wave says Jumbotron jumping like I came off the grassy. I kind of thought you would love that line. So yeah, like overall, I see
shit popping.
Yeah, like I see the argument for it being, for people thinking it's sounding the same, but I think when you take this album and you compare it to his previous albums, the songwriting has gotten better, the storytelling has gotten better, and sometimes the growth or the improvement isn't something that is clear or obvious, but it's still there. And I appreciate the fact that Rod Wave is someone who is very intent on ignoring all the hip hop bullshit just so he can continue to grow as an artist and continue to perfect his craft.
Yeah, and those are all great points. And I don't hate the Juice WRLD. It's not even a comparison, right? It's just like considering Rod Wave, in a similar context to Juice WRLD. And I think that makes a lot of sense, honestly. Like, we don't hear Rod Wave like really rap as much as Juice WRLD did, like, you know what I mean? But I think there's a similarity in the sense that they're both, it comes so naturally to both of them to make listenable songs that I think sometimes with artists like that, they get too into that flow where it just comes out of them. And there's like, and yes, it is so like impressive and great on that first like go round, but sometimes I want to hear like go back to that and let's see how we can refine, instead of like 20 tracks of just like letting talent, take care of like business. It's like, and this, like with me, it's like, give me like 13 tracks where you take 7 of them, you're like, all right, those are good, but let me put them over here and then like focus in on these 13. So I think, I don't know, I think it's interesting because as we wrap up, I think my final thoughts on this project are that the middle of it, the bulk of it is pretty bland to me, and it just is what it is. It doesn't mean it's bad because it's not. It's very listenable. Like the instrumentals they're just pretty. The instrumentals are pretty generic, which makes me, on the first few listens, it makes me almost think of the songwriting as generic, but it's not, right? It's not. And you've done a great job pointing that out. So that's my final thought is I want Rod Wave in an environment where the music is unique enough, where his talent pairs with that and makes this final product that's like, oh, the instrumentals are great and they're only supporting this incredibly talented singer that we have. And like I said, I'm sure that will come. We're dealing with a guy who's in his early 20s. So that's my final thoughts. I'm just excited for Rod Wave to keep progressing and get to a point where it's like, all right, let me put these the super hip hop beats to the side and let me get in the room with just a couple of musicians who we can like fully form this idea that's like, all right, I'm an incredible singer and I deserve to have incredible music behind me. Mm-hmm. My favorite tracks, it's exactly what we were talking about. So my favorite tracks are Nostalgia, so the very beginning, 2018, the very end, and then Backlit, which is 17. So I like number 1, I like number 18, and I like number 17. So it's really like the beginning and the end. And that middle part doesn't do a ton for me. So when it comes to my playback value, I might play those songs again. The one with 21 Savage might get some play just because, you know, it is what it is. We both feel that way. Mm-hmm. But my personal playback value is low. However, objectively, I've already seen numbers that this is going to go to number 1. And like the projections are like 130, 140,000 for this first week. So objectively, it's going to have legs because people love Rod Wave. Like they really do. And this is he's one of those artists where it's like Twitter isn't always real. Like,
yeah, no, not at all.
Twitter's like, oh, he's so sad. This guy,
he sold out. He sold out Barclays and had people crying without even acknowledging if they existed. So
so that's where it goes. Like my playback value, low. Objective playback value, his fan base is very, very dedicated. So it's high there.
Yeah.
And I couldn't put a number on it. Normally we try to, but I don't know the number because I think Rod Wave fans stick with this stuff so much longer than it's just around. Like I think this project will last for years for Rod Wave's fan because that's how their connection is with him.
Yeah. My final thoughts are Rod Wave, he's taking the next step in his artistry. He's delivering what could be his most focused album. Again, just by the storytelling, the songwriting, the way that he's able to stay in register in terms of the construct of the song. And also he's one of the best storytellers that we have in hip hop. I don't think that's questioned. My top 3 tracks are Pass You By, Rap Beef, and then Crazy. And the playback value objectively and subjectively both a year. And honestly, with you talking, Taylor, about it could be possibly 2 years, 3 years. I kind of feel like I'm selling it short now, but definitely for me, a year, I can see it because I assume that he's going to drop next year. And then I'm just going to be like, okay. But also at the same time, though, I do see myself still going back to Beautiful Mind and 7 Day Theory. So maybe that's a little bit off too. But my final thought, because I didn't get to it before, my one critique of this album is I wish that he picked a different beat for the song with 21 Savage. Like 21 Savage, he gives us 8 bars. I feel like, first of all, it's 21 Savage. He's going to do his thing. But I think that there could have been a better beat that allowed both of them to show their identity, their musical identities better. I also feel like 21 Savage only gave us 8 because he knew that he was kind of limited in that beat. And he couldn't really do as much as he would have normally done. So that was interesting to me. Also, I would have liked to hear 21 Savage sing like Hours in Silence on like after Rod Wave sings it. Like that would have been heat. But anyway, this has been the Cat Podcast, episode 413. Thank you for watching. I am Nate Sperlin. That is Taylor McLeod. Let us know what you think about nostalgia in the comments below. Do us a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at OldMilk Media. Check out all the OldMilk content at oldmilk.co. That being said, we'll be back when hip hop tells us to be, and we are out.